Hello, this is a short film about Grow. Grow is a charitable enterprise which uses nature-based interventions to work with people who are suffering or have suffered from mental health problems or psychological distress. Grow have been really successful in improving the physical and psychological well-being of people involved over a number of years. Recently they have been working with psychologists at the University of Brighton to find out a bit more about how and why Grow benefits people. This has been a really rewarding partnership, and this short film is about how we work together and what we found. Why do we think mental health is such an important issue? In 2014 alone, 28% of adults in England reported having been diagnosed with at least one mental illness, and a further 18% reported having experienced a mental illness that was not diagnosed, according to the Health Survey for England of that year. Clearly then, how to respond effectively and efficiently to mental health problems is a pressing concern. We agree with our fellow psychologists when they state that
there is now more need than ever to explore different preventative and curative therapies to add to the toolbox of treatment options.
as evidence has increasingly suggested that contact with nature has therapeutic benefits, therapy programs have been designed which focus specifically on people's interactions with nature. The kinds of initiatives currently offered are varied. They include horticultural therapy, green exercise, care farms, conservation activity, animal-assisted therapy, and wilderness therapy. Grow is one example of these nature-based interventions. The Grow programme, in the words of the directors, is designed to support people with experience of psychological distress to experience the wellbeing benefits of connecting with nature in a safe and supportive group. Grow works with people who have experience of depression, anxiety, stress, and other mental health issues. Participants are recruited as part of a small closed group, 8 to 12 people, who meet weekly for a whole day as part of an 8-week season. Formal support is provided by project staff and trained volunteers. Once participants arrive, they can engage in a range of activities offered on different days across a season, with support from the National Trust and the local resident farmer. Activities include guided nature walks, conservation tasks, wild food foraging, beach combing, shepherding, creative activities, and fire building. People are also free just to be in nature, to walk or sit, talk or be silent, with others or alone, with support always at hand. Actually, this aspect of Grow was seen as important by nearly all participants. Sounds simple, but it's remarkably effective. How do we know? This is where a partnership with the University of Brighton comes in. Psychologists at the university worked with Grow to evaluate what happens to the people who participate in the season. They used established scales to measure well-being before and after the project, with nearly 100 people across 9 seasons. All participants completed a survey with questions asking them about their experiences of Grow. A few also wrote up their experiences freely as a series of diary or blog entries. Here's what we found. People who took part in Grow told us about any perceived benefits to their mental and physical health. 12% reported some benefit to their mental health. 88% of participants reported Grow had had a significant or great benefit to their mental health. Relatedly, we found a significant increase in reported wellbeing across every season, from before taking part to after completing an 8-week season. Average wellbeing scores before were 29 out of 60, or 48%. Afterwards, scores went up to 46 out of 60, or 77%. Self-esteem and confidence, coping with stress and anxiety, and a sense of belonging and community were the 3 indicators of well-being that saw the highest increases. All started from relatively low scores, between 2.6 and 2.8 out of 5. These numbers might not sound like much, but they represent highly significant increases in statistical terms: 59%, 66% and 73% respectively. Furthermore, 4 to 8 months after they had completed GROW, participants were asked about the activities they had engaged in as a consequence of taking part in the programme. With the participants asked, 74% reported they had engaged with one of the following or more: volunteering, work, training and education. We also asked questions and encouraged people to write about their experience of taking part in a GROW season. So why don't we let some of the participants tell you about GROW in their own words. The original written text is here voiced by actors.
At that time, I was at the lowest ebb in my life following a series of deaths in my family, constant ill health, having to move home and being unable to work. I felt disconnected from society, isolated and struggled to manage my depression.
How I've been affected by my mental health is something that I tended to run away from before, until my depression or anxiety would get so bad I'd have to take notice of it. GROW gave me the space to allow all of that to surface. It's not like counselling where you sit in a room and trawl through your pain. It's so different and it really worked for me. For starters, I felt safe. I felt the group and the place very much held me, and I wasn't expected to be anything other than how I was feeling.
I finally met other people like me, people who were living with severe mental illness and wanted to get better, people who wanted to be outside and away from the city, people who could be hilarious about the utter weirdness of the world we'd all been inhabiting, awful waiting rooms, failed therapies, trying not to kill ourselves, the trippy side effects of new drugs. Suddenly I was around folks who understood that getting out of bed that morning deserved recognition by a full cheerleading squad with pom-poms.
None of us knew anything about each other's history. I was able to be myself and I got on with everyone. Before, I wouldn't even have said hello. I feel like I'm climbing the ladder back to the person I was. My mental health is vastly better.
Survey responses and personal testimonies told us more about which needs were met and how. GROW provided participants with access to nature, and this aspect of the intervention was often highlighted as an essential ingredient in facilitating and maintaining an increased sense of well-being and resilience.
Often, when I got to the farm, I was very emotional and quite down at first, just sinking into the place with a huge sense of relief. A time for me to just be me and not do battle with whatever issue was centre stage at that time in my life at home. And then very soon, after I found myself feeling quite different, the release of my emotions was allowed. I felt calmer than I had done in ages, and I laughed. I felt happy and healthy.
Many participants used positive statements about relating to others and or being in a group setting in the context of their experience of GROW. This included a sense of belonging and community in the here and now, over the course of a season, and in terms of looking ahead. Participants felt more equipped to function in group settings in the future. Interestingly, people commonly reported that the positive experience of social contact was enhanced by being in a natural setting, suggesting connection with others and with nature is mutually reinforcing.
For the first time in my life, I was spending time with people that not only understood my struggles but empathised with them, which was an almost entirely new experience for me. I was able to let my guard down, let people in and learn about myself.
Participants described the connection with others and nature that GROW provides as creating opportunities for self-reflection and an environment of self-acceptance, which facilitated perhaps our most significant finding in the context of mental health: a more accepting and positive relationship with one's own self. Participants consistently articulated an increased sense of hopefulness and resilience as they look to the future as a result.
Grow has taught me more than months of CBT how to pause and compassionately, honestly and positively reflect on how I'm feeling and what makes me feel better.
Much more of what participants had to say supported these themes.
I've absolutely loved the whole experience. It's changed my life. I've been so anxious I've struggled to go out for the past couple of years. I've looked out of the window and craved the peace and silence of nature, and just not had the energy, motivation or courage to leave the flat. Coming to Grow has really changed that for me. When we get out of the van, wherever we go, I feel like my whole body says, ah, and the pain drops away for a while. And the great thing is, I've been going out a lot more and seeing friends, and even enjoying nature on my own too. So thank you for what you do. It really makes a difference to people's lives.
It was about getting out and allowing yourself to have a good time, rather than a clinical approach which focused on your illness. It was an escape from the stresses of everyday life and a chance to have a breather so I could cope with life for the rest of the week.
I didn't used to care enough about myself to make getting outdoors a regular thing. I needed Grow to help me begin to value myself once more, to feel safe and able to access nature, and to feel I'm not alone in my depression and anxiety.
I feel like I've gained a greater understanding and compassion for the issues I suffer with, and it's allowed me to become more accepting of myself in general.
What makes Grow so effective then? In sum, our findings suggest that it is the bringing together of a unique set of ingredients that is the key to Grow's success. A new or renewed contact and connection with nature, and with others, and with one's sense of self, alongside the development of social and practical skills in a trusting and supportive environment. Combined, they create a virtuous circle in which recovery has a genuine chance to germinate and flower, to grow.
I gradually started to feel that there was hope and that I was allowed a me-shaped life.
I have encountered no other mental health and wellbeing project in all these years that comes close to the positivity this project embodies.
I've had a brilliant time and I'll never forget it. Thank you all for putting your faith in me.